I just got in. So what's your issue? I just posted the scientific method in quantum mechanics for the delayed choice quantum eraser. What are your objections?
Yeah, this isn't natural. First of all, I mean those photons were created by lasers. It's the same as you can say the quantum You can say that the Cavendish experiment is as scientific as the
light is made of photons. Photons are natural. So are elementary particles, atoms, and molecules. They all exhibit the same thing.
Yeah, and lead balls.
Cavendish experiment are made of lead. Lead is natural.
Lead is unnatural too, dude. You are just cherry picking. It shows how fucking stupid you are. Sorry.
Fucking stupid. That's like you're like Elmer Fudd telling Tiger Woods that he's stupid with golf.
I wasn't part of this discussion. Do the flat earthers agree with the duality of particles?
I don't know. They just pick what they want. That's it.
Yeah, but that's why I'm asking. I can't.
Yeah, light particles. What they believe in. Sorry. Yes, light is particles. What's the issue?
Well, it doesn't sound like a very natural phenomenon to observe lasers.
Lasers? Light, not lasers. Light. You telling me light's not natural? Are you kidding me?
Who made this light in the quantum experiment?
Sorry.
Who made it?
No, don't. Is light natural?
Is lead natural in the Cavendish experiment? Yes, it is. Light is natural too, so everything is natural. Or nothing.
So you're saying light, like the Cavendish experiment, is actually man-made?
No, I'm saying that the light in the quantum experiment is man-made. Those photons are made by man.
So you don't understand science again.
Frequency and wavelength of the light is decided before the
natural phenomena. The thing you observe cannot be man-made. The thing being observed is light.
And this light was man-made, going through the double slits.
What's happening inside the laser? What is making the light?
Energy, the atoms, the electrons changing position in the atoms, which creates those wavelengths.
Well, there you go. That's not man. Atoms aren't man.
Oh yeah, and the lead in the Cavendish experiment is man-made.
Cavendish is that's not an experiment.
The lead also natural.
Into it when we made the lead.
That's not an experiment. What's the natural phenomenon observed, please?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and cherry pick, dude. It is so silly when we're talking to you.
Example before.
Let's look at this thing seriously. Like we have lead in the ground. We take it, we shape it into a ball. We didn't make the lead. We just put it in the shape of a ball, so it's natural lead. What is your point about it not being natural and being man-made? Man cannot make lead.
I can't hear this clown.
You are the clown, dude. You are just cherry picking everything out of the net.
Calm down.
The pretender clowns unite.
I'm tired, mate.
We all know what we think of flat Earth. There's no need to.
You don't know what science is. You'd fail 5th grade general science, and you proved it in front of about 250 people. Congrats. Nice job.
Thanks. I'm Tiger Woods, mate.
And then the freaking clown saying that mathematics variables are scientific variables. I love that. And it was like a big hanging watermelon-sized curveball that I just freaking jacked yard. Like I'm going to jack all your nonsense. Because you're pretender clowns.
Yeah. We don't like each other, we know. But again, back to the point. What about the lead we're using in the Cavendish experiment to make it not natural?
Cavendish experiment is not an experiment.
Just because you say so, like the rest of the world says otherwise, but you are the only fucking
that's argument ad populum fallacy.
You're the only fucking clown that can't accept this thing because
argument ad populum fallacy. All you have is fallacies, pretender clowns. That's all you got.
No, you just redefine words for yourself.
I don't redefine it. I'm not Merriam-Webster. I am not the University or Kennesaw State. I'm not the University of Colorado. I'm Quantum Eraser.
Yeah, you have no idea what you talk about, dude.
I have no idea. Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. Come again.
Is that why you're holding on to this one? Because it's in your name, Quantum?
Yeah, because it's an idiot, dude.
Make sure and
He
come on the
thinks,
show
he thinks
again.
the double
Panda
slit
Clowns.
experiment is an experiment, but the Cavendish
I
is.
love it.
This is
I love
stupid.
it.
I never.
Why are you so triggered, Cinder?
Sorry, what part of this aren't you getting?
Because
The
it is so
delayed
funny.
choice quantum eraser does adhere to the scientific method. It was demonstrated to you literally about 5 minutes ago. The Cavendish experiment does not conform to the scientific method. It's as
Your
simple as
claim
that.
is that it does not conform to the scientific method because it
That's
is
right.
man-made, and then we're pointing out that the other experiment that supposedly is natural
But
contains
he can't get away
at
from this.
least
He is so
a similar amount
stupid. He can't
of
understand
man-made
this.
parts.
Let me try again.
But yet
Let me try
claim it
again.
as
The
natural.
I don't think it's gonna
experimental
help.
Stop being
apparatus.
silly, Nathan.
Let me just explain it.
Stop
Let me try.
interjecting
At
with
least
silly
try
shit.
once more to
Let
explain
us
it to
talk,
you.
mate.
The experiment itself.
Let us talk, mate. Don't interject.
The
I want to hear
experimental
how the
setup
light is
itself.
man-made. Come on.
Yeah, the experimental setup
Don't
can
interject,
contain
mate.
man-made. You're totally triggered about this.
No, it's another
Yeah,
idiot
I'm done. Yeah,
talking.
that in there. The setup can be man-made, but the phenomena you're observing cannot.
In
That's
other
why I wanted
words,
to ask
you're
before, if
straw
I-
manning. It's incoherent
I
straw man.
replace-
We're going to go over this in a presentation here in a couple days.
If I replace the bowling balls with very heavy rocks I found in nature, if I replace the weights on the string with apples, and I see the same phenomenon, would
You
it be a natural phenomenon?
incredible doofus, you. What's the natural phenomena observed, please? Step 1. We start with step 1.
Gravity.
We don't start with step 4, the experiment. Step 1. What is the
Gravity.
natural
Isn't
phenomena?
Let's say we see apples getting attracted to something like the ground.
And that's fine. I even had this on screen on the when we were doing this in the Hangout, and you stopped. Apple falling from tree. I have it right here. What's the alternative hypothesis, please?
Well, I haven't made a hypothesis yet. I've only observed apples falling from trees.
Okay, apple falling from tree. We want the alternative hypothesis. That's the next step.
Now we want a hypothesis to explain
Alternative
why this phenomena
hypothesis, please.
happens.
It's called the alternative hypothesis, please.
Okay.
Do we really need one?
This movement is caused by the mass of the Earth.
So movement is caused is by math. Let me write it down so I can see it. Movement is caused by the mass of the Earth. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
That's the dependent. The dependent variable here is apple falling from a tree. You said your alternative hypothesis is movement is caused by mass of the Earth. So you didn't observe mass. Can you define mass for us, please?
Oof. That depends on how deep you go.
Mass has a definition, doesn't it?
Yes. Do I know it off the top of my head? I do not.
Then how can you have it in the hypothesis if you don't know what it is?
Well, obviously, if we were scientists, we would look it up. And we would, when we write the thesis, for example, we define what mass is and actually find it out. Well, none of us are scientists here, so we cannot actually simulate how doing a thesis properly.
That's hogwash. Okay.
No, hold on, John. Hold on.
Okay.
I don't think that's hogwash. That's a fair enough objection. However, we're not talking about your experiment. We're talking about the Cavendish experiment. So presumably, you don't have to formulate this as a fresh hypothesis. You can just dig out whatever they used for the experiment.
That's true.
But you're not at the experiment stage. We're at the alternative hypothesis stage. So
Right.
You said the movement of apple falling from the tree is caused by mass. I come along and say, no, that's incorrect. The apple is red. The ground is brown. I say that red is attracted to brown. That's my alternative hypothesis. I'm putting it right underneath.
Sure.
So,
how would you test
So,
it?
can I ask a question? Do you have a source that we always need a alternative hypothesis, because I'm having doubts about that.
What?
In my opinion, you don't necessarily need that always.
Sorry, let me get your question clear. Do we need an alternative hypothesis?
Yes, that is my question.
Oh my god.
You can laugh all you want, but that is a good question.
Sorry. The hypothesis does two things. It tells you if your prediction, the presumed cause, is correct, or if it's incorrect. Now, the way you tell it's incorrect is by validating the null hypothesis, the zero difference result. So in your hypothesis, you will say what will happen if your presumed cause is correct, and what will happen if it isn't, i.e. zero difference result. That's the null. It's absolutely essential.
So we don't actually need any other hypothesis. Like if I want to prove a theory, I can just have a hypothesis, and if it is disproven, I can then say, well, this wasn't true. Let's look for other options.
Correct.
So we don't actually need to have a different option there.
Yes, you do. So
I think the truth is somewhere between both
is
of your
because
statements.
if you get a zero difference result, then your presumption of a cause, so I say A will cause B in your hypothesis. If you go forward to experimentation stage and your null is confirmed, i.e. A does not cause B, then yeah, you haven't established A as the cause. So you need to go and find something else to see if that causes the effect. So the null is what gives you the zero difference result. You either validate
we can just use the null. We don't need anything else. And then later we can, for example, if you do a study, you may only have time to study one angle. And when that angle gets disproven, you can say, well, this got disproven. We are going to have to do another study to study some other alternative theory.
No. The null is your zero difference. So
I understand that, but the null
you're not directly testing the null. You're not directly testing to disprove. You're trying to establish the cause. If you don't, then you confirm the null hypothesis. And yeah, obviously you haven't got a cause. So you've got to go forward and find something else.
So here's the thing. Who is it? Laurie, who's also talking at the moment?
Yes.
Yeah. So the thing is that you're thinking of, well, an hypothesis like increasing A increases B. And then you say we don't need anything else. This is like, I can understand this thinking because the null hypothesis is sort of can be derived directly from the hypothesis. The null hypothesis would then be increasing A does not increase B. Correct. If our hypothesis to begin with is increasing A does increase B.
Yes, I understood that.
So in some sense, if you have one, it's quite easy to find the other, and maybe we don't always have to be anal about specifying it, but there is always a null hypothesis.
Yes, and I actually understood that as well.
Okay. I'm just like, it sounded like, yeah, I think that's what they're thinking of. They're thinking of the null, which is just like the opposite mostly of what you're saying.
Yes, I actually understood that, but what I don't get is why they make a point about this. Because if we then have a null anyway, why are they bringing this up?
Because often you can't formulate it. People give mass attracts mass, and you go, well, what's the null hypothesis for that? And
well, would be mass doesn't attract mass.
No. Wait a second. You're all screwed up there. Mass attracting mass isn't a hypothesis. Number one, you can't define the term. Number two, that's your or dependent variable, your effect. That's only half of the hypothesis.
So what was the second point?
So he's saying its own. If you say mass attracts mass, you're describing the effect of what will happen. Would you agree? That's an effect being described.
Yes.
Right. Well, a hypothesis contains a cause and an effect. Your presumed cause being the independent variable. Now, you guys would assert that you presume the cause of mass attracting mass is gravity, correct?
Okay. Can we continue if we say that the mass is the measure by determining the extent to which a particle or object resists a change in its direction or speed when a
No,
force
that's
is
inertia.
applied?
Yeah, that would be inertia.
Or do you need force to be defined as well?
Sorry, that you've just described inertia.
What's so funny?
See,
That's
they
the
have,
definition
they
of
have
inertia.
perfected this game, this language game, so long.
Sorry,
It's not
this
a
isn't
game.
a game. We're talking about
Well,
science.
it is a game. This is about getting victory points. This is not about
it's only
real,
a game.
honest truth.
It's only a game when your experiment isn't an experiment. Then it becomes a game.
This whole show
Science
is a game
is
show about
empirical. Science establishes cause and effect. It does this by being hypothesis-driven, scientific prediction-driven. Not a game. Not a little guessing game where we argue
Yes,
terms.
I understand, but I'm talking about your silly show and not the scientific. Of course, science isn't a game, but this is a game. We are just playing a silly language game where everyone is triggered.
You're a pretender clown.
Sorry. What? I asked a question and there was a long silence. Now I'm told I'm playing games. I said we got to the stage where you agreed that mass attracting mass would be the description of an effect. Yeah? That's half a hypothesis. In a hypothesis, you also have the cause, your presumed cause. In this case, that would be gravity, would it not?
Yeah. You need an independent variable.
Hold on, John. I just want to get that, rather than the stony silence with them then telling me I'm playing games, why aren't they agreeing or disagreeing? I don't get it.
Because they're clowns. That's why. They don't know what they're talking about.
So let's ask the question again and see if we get another stony silence. So far, we all agree that the effect is mass attracting mass. So the cause, according to you guys who believe in a sphere Earth, is gravity. Correct?
Correct? That's a question.
I wasn't listening. Sorry.
Yeah, this is a good
Nate.
point. Jordan Peterson has a very good point about rhetorics.
No.
Yes.
Oh, goodness.
Rhetoricians are hard to listen to, and when someone is just spouting their own rhetorics, it's very hard to listen to or get what they are even saying. So when someone has a dogma, it's really hard to listen to them or even understand what they are saying.
Yeah,
and
he's
that's
a clown.
the problem here.
He's a clown.
We don't understand.
They're all clowns. I mean, we're wasting our time here. But come back on the show, please.
I agree, John. We're just wasting our time.
Yeah. Yep. They're retards. I mean, they have no business being in this discussion. They're trying to play lumberjack or pretending to be lumberjacks when they're not lumberjacks. And I'm a lumberjack. And if I catch lumberjacks that aren't lumberjacks pretending to be lumberjacks, which I have slaved, cried, tears, everything for, and I catch you trying to be a lumberjack, I'm going to rip your fucking lungs out. So come back on the show. I'm out.
Thanks, John.